Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile from the PPT qualifier that took place in Connecticut over the weekend. My friend Greg gave me his top 8 Gogeta Xeno Dark Broly deck. This was honestly one of the coolest decks that I saw. I got to test with it the night before the event, so I saw it played there, saw it played at the event. This deck is such a unique take on Dark Broly. Adds that Gogeta Xeno stuff into the deck for those of you that like that character, like that gameplay mechanic. And honestly, it's really good. You spam more battle cards in this deck than Dark Broly does in its regular deck. Now, that's not to say it's quite better than pure Dark Broly. I think that's something that'll have to be figured out. But this version of the deck is so fast, puts out so many battle cards. The combos you can do in the deck are honestly really cool. So I want to show you guys in today's video. That being said, if you guys are new here, definitely subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description to do so. Particularly today, if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards you see in today's video, be sure to use my link in the description to TCG Player. It really does help out a lot. That being said, let's get started. So this is a Dark Broly deck. Okay, so again, not your typical Dark Broly. There's a lot of stuff that regular Dark Broly plays that this deck does not play. Let's get into the first of it. So we have 4 of each Dark Broly: the Uncontrolled Berserker, Realm Ravager, and New Mass Saiyan. Now, as far as pure Dark Broly stuff goes, this is it. There's no Toa's Assert Dragon Balls. There's no Parasitic Dragon Ball. There's no one-drop Broly. This is all of your Dark Broly stuff in the deck. The rest of it, like I said, Gogeta Xeno stuff and other, good black utility things you need for this deck to kind of work. But again, just like regular Dark Broly, you want to look at top 5. You want to mill these guys ideally. There are other 30Ks in the deck we will take a look at, but these are your main guys you want to mill. And you play these guys out for free. This is what you're doing for free. There's other things you spend energy on. So in this deck, for instance, like I said, you're not playing one drop Broly, you're not playing Ball, you're not playing a way to search Ball. So your energy is going to be spent in other avenues so you can aggro the opponent down. This is, I would say, this is much more of an aggro variant of Dark Broly rather than like that mid-range variant the typical Dark Broly is. Like regular Dark Broly, I would say, it is a mid-range deck, but we know that mid-range decks usually pivot between aggro and control. This mid-range deck in particular definitely, teeters more towards aggro, or at least pure Dark Broly. But this particular version of Dark Broly, I would say, is quite aggressive. So let's take a look at some of the Gogeta Xeno stuff that we are playing. We're playing 3 SS3 Gogeta Marvelous Might. We're playing 3 Gogeta Fearless Fusion. And we have 4 of our Vegeta Super Combos. So playing this Gogeta Xeno stuff, you need, Vegeta and Goku Xenos to fuse. And this is just one of the Vegetas we're playing. The next slide, I'll show more of the Gokus and Vegetas that we're playing to fuse. But anyways, the Gogeta stuff here, it requires a Black Saiyan only leader, and Dark Broly is a Black Saiyan only leader. So you lose out on things like this when you're playing like Vegeta, for instance, because he's a Saiyan / Earthling because he's part Trunks. But you have leaders like this, you have leaders like Goku Xeno, and you have, of course, the Gogeta Xeno leader this is meant to be played with. But Dark Broly is such an interesting twist, and here's why. So these guys, the Gogetas here, they allow you to fuse out of your warp by putting those pieces into the drop to plays from your hand. They both cost 1 black. The Fearless Fusion can be played at any point. The Marvelous Might, your opponent has to have 2 or more energy. He's a barrier threat. Fearless Fusion is a blocker. Fearless Fusion also offers you barrier removal for battle cards 4 cost or less, which is something that regular Dark Broly does not have access to. And that's cool about this deck too, is like in this deck with 2 battle cards played, you can remove 2 cards. In regular Dark Broly, you can generally only remove 1 card per turn. Now that 1 Uncontrollable Berserker per turn is still really powerful, but I'm just saying that this deck has the option to do 2 removals per turn, which is really good. But back to what I was saying before, so you have your Gokus and Vegetas in your warp, and then these fusions put those back into your drop area. And we know that the Dark Broly 6 drops, they require you to warp black battle cards out of your drop and put them into your warp to play themselves from the drop, right? So if you're kind of following what I'm saying, you're seeing that you can play a Dark Broly, you can put, Goku's, Vegetas, and whatever else into your warp, and then for 1 energy, you can put those same cards you just put into your warp back into your drop area and play these guys from your hand. So that synergy right there is so huge. Like, that's one of the main combo enablers of this deck, is playing Dark Brolys. Now your warp is fueled with Gokus and Vegetas, fuse into your Gogeta Fearless Fusion, and that fuels your Dark Brolys once again. It's just a cyclical kind of fueling of your drop area that honestly was really cool and really innovative to see. Also, super sick. This deck made it to the top 8 of the tournament. Really cool. So let's take a look at some of the more Gogetas, the Gokus and Vegetas that we're playing. So to complement our 4 super combos, we're playing 4 Son Goku making an entrance. I think it's a little bit unfortunate that this card has 0 combo power. I think it's possible that you can actually replace this with Son Goku True Fighting Spirit. That is in the side deck. We will look at the side deck later on. I don't know if you necessarily need this guy because, again, I think this is much more of an aggro deck. So I would consider swapping, making an entrance with True Fighting Spirit. Just do a 4/4 swap. But if you like the negates, if you like the flexibility of that, you can definitely keep it. Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence is another insane card in this deck. If you're making it turn 4, you just have that late game playability. Like, I think it's very, very easy in this deck to kill on turn 3 usually. But if it gets later in the game, if your opponent's stalling you out, if they're successfully defending, you play this guy on turn 4. He puts 4 more black battle cards into your drop, which allows you to just play more Dark Brolys. Like, it was so scary testing against this deck where he could make it turn 4 and play this guy. And, again, that same cycling I was talking about, Gogeta Xenos, Dark Brolys, Gogeta Xenos, Dark Brolys, and then play this guy on top of all that, getting more cards into the drop was honestly really scary. SS3 Vegeta Unstoppable Evolution, you just need a Vegeta Xeno name with 25,000 power, but this card is just really good. I mean, it's a 2-drop overwhelm if you ever need it. That does remove a battle card ignoring barrier, so it is an option you have if you ever need to actually play it, but for the most part, it's fusion fodder. Again, there for the option if you need to play it. Now, here's some of the more utility stuff in the deck. We have 4 Majin Buu Human Extinction Attacks. So this is the main way you're setting up your drop area. Regular Dark Broly lists, they'll usually, instead of this, they'll play like Gravy and Demigrod's Thrall, because your leader will set up your drop, and then, going back and forth between your warp and your drop, you can use Gravy to set that up, right? In this deck, you can't really mill the Gokus and Vegetas via your leader, so you have Majin Buu's Extinction Attack to mill the top 4 of your deck whenever you need to. This is a really strong card in this particular build, because, again, it does get your engines going. No matter what Gokus and Vegetas you happen to mill, you're pretty much set up to, do those Gogeta shenanigans. 2 Secret Identity Mass Sand. Once again, if you just need those battle cards into your warp to do the Gogeta Xeno stuff, this is a free overwhelm that costs 0, obviously, and it puts those cards into the warp for your fusion shenanigans. And 3 Demigod is just one of the best black cards you can play in a black deck, so of course, and it has synergy with your leader. Then we have 3 copies of SS4 Bardock Combat Instincts and 2 copies of Fu Shrouded Mystery. I was talking with Greg a bit before the tournament, and I thought these numbers were just a little wonky, because SS4 Bardock does cost a lot of energy. It costs 3 for Dark Broly, who can't untap energy at all. Fu Shrouded is cool if you do happen to get to that late game, and in this deck, it's at the worst, it's always a 5k combo, so that's fine. I did mention that he should probably play Brainwash no more. He just didn't have access to the card, didn't own the card, so that's perfectly fine. I'd probably chop like 1 or 2 of the SS4 Bardock and 1 copy of Shroud to put in 3 Brainwash if you have the card. But it's still pretty cool to say that, like, even though this deck wasn't maxed out to its potential, which Brainwash could have possibly added to those shenanigans because it's another free overwhelm, just like Secret Identity Mass Sand, that actually you can hit off of your leader, it still did very, very well. So it's a minor upgrades. This deck could be even stronger. 4 Power Burst, because you can recycle those 1-drop Goku negates, so that was kind of a cool play you could do there. And then for the sideboard here, we've got the 1 copy of Smoke Dragon. So again, talking to Greg, he just didn't have access to Supreme Kai of Time, the Space-Time Unraveler, so he chose to go with Smoke Dragon in the sideboard. I'm going to imagine it probably never came in, just because I don't really think there are going to be many matchups in this meta where you're making it to turn 5, unless you play against something super stall, like, I don't know, Frieza Prison, Blue Baby. It's possible that this could be relevant in those matchups, so if you don't have Supreme Kai of Time, once again, this is a secret rare you could use if you have it. 2 Petrification. There are a lot of scenarios where this card is good if you're playing a black leader. Like, let's say you're playing against Red Broly, for instance. This is really good on a turn 2, or if you're on 1 energy, for instance. You can leave the energy open, negate the attack, and stop the swap on their battle cards, which is not bad. Also not bad against things like Piccolo, Junior Eradicator, Peace, because this says it can't activate skills, which is very, very different than negating skills. Even pending autos are stopped by Petrification, which is really, really good. Then we have the 3 Goku True Fighting Spirit. Once again, I personally think you could just bump these to the main deck and probably cut the other Gokus, but that's my opinion. If you like the more defensive style of those negate Gokus, definitely go ahead and do that. 2 Crack in Space Time. So he is playing the Goku Saiyan Transcendence, which means he can't really play Furthering Destruction Champa. So he wanted to play some sort of double strike in the side deck at least, and this is a card that obviously a lot of Dark Broly players once upon a time have played and have experimented with. I definitely think Champa's better if you're not playing Goku Saiyan Transcendence, because in that scenario you're allowed to play non-black cards. But in this version where you pretty much have to be playing all black cards, Kraken Space Time seems to be the way to go. Also actually nice that it's a 15k combo, so you have Human Extinction Attack, which is also a 15k combo. This being a 15k combo is actually relevant against things like Reboot Gohan, so that's something to keep in mind. 2 Super Kamehameha, again, it just depends on the scenario you're in. Like, it can be good against Red Broly, stopping their Piccolo Jr. Unison Ultimate. It can be good against Launch for Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace. It can be good against some random Hidden Mastery decks. Those kind of float around nowadays, so that can be good there. Vegeta True Fighting Spirit is just for blue, obviously. You know, if they're relying on Bean, if they're relying on D-Magic, those obviously get affected by Vegeta True Fighting Spirit. Also, if you haven't played in Soul Striker, which admittedly isn't very popular in this meta, but it is an option there. And then 2 Bardock Boy Unleashed just for the mirror match. Greg did mention that Pure Dark Broly is actually kind of tough for this deck to deal with, and I can kind of see it, because even though you're able to put on a crazy amount of attacks, I think that if regular Dark Broly is pressuring you a bit too much, you're not really going to have that solid defense that you might need in order to stave off that aggression there. Where the mirror match has some tech that actually helps a bit more in the pure mirror, but in this matchup in particular, you kind of give up some of that tech in order to play more of your, you know, Gogeta Xeno fast stuff. But I still think this deck is incredibly cool overall. Again, really innovative. I never thought of playing anything like this. I really like that synergy where you're putting cards from warp to drop, and it just fuels your ability to play different battle cards. I do like that a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. If you try it out, leave in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.